Clue on board.
Well, we didn't pack anything fun to do, so how about I tell you a story?
I guess so.
I'll tell you a story about this guy named Terry Davis. Terry A. Davis was a real trailblazer, creating an operating system and a script language all with the help of himself alone. But his life was far from sunshine and rainbows. It was actually the exact opposite. Struck with an assortment of mental health issues, Davis lived an extremely challenging and depressing life. Terrence Andrew Davis was born in the cheesy state of Wisconsin on December 15th, 1969.
Nice.
Not too much is really known about his early life, but what is known is that he moved around a lot, from Wisconsin to Washington to Michigan to California and finally to Arizona. Terry grew up in a Catholic household, with his father being an industrial engineer. Terry, however, was not Catholic. In fact, he was very much an atheist, a scientific materialist as he would describe it, basically just a super atheist. He learned assembly code when he was just a teenager, and in 1994 he got his master's degree in electrical engineering from Arizona State University.
Wow. He doesn't seem to be having a bad life at all.
Well, my idiot friend, that's because the story isn't over. Life did seem to be on the up and up for Terry, but sadly, as you will soon see, life had different plans. In March of 1996, he was admitted to a psychiatric ward for having manic episodes. It was here when Terry's mental state started to plummet, far down. He started to believe in government aliens in suits and believed that they were after him. He then traveled hundreds of miles down south as a hope to flee. His mental state and schizophrenia only worsened though, as he thought there was some sort of tracking chip in his car, so without a second thought he began tearing down his car part by part until it was well beyond undrivable. He then walked across a desert for miles and miles until he was spotted and eventually picked up by the police. While being driven by the cops, he somehow managed to escape and jump out the car. This led to him breaking his collarbone and having to be hospitalized.
Did things get better? Was he able to get help?
Gosh damn it, man. Can you let me finish? Like, you keep interrupting and it's fucking me up.
Okay, damn, sorry.
Ah. Just as things were seeming to maybe be calming down, he began to have more manic episodes again and believed the bones in his x-ray scans were alien artifacts. He then proceeded to run out of the hospital. He tried to steal a vehicle but was quickly arrested, and then diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia. It was then when he started feeling guilty for being an atheist and wanted to live more in line with the greatest to ever do it, Jesus Christ. And so in order to do this, he gave away all of his possessions.
Why would he do that?
Because he's a fucking G, that's why. After a failed business venture in 1996, he moved back in with his parents in Las Vegas and began collecting that sweet, sweet government money. Even though all this shit that has happened in his life thus far, he was about to prove the world how much of a genius he truly was.
I can't wait to hear this.
Starting in 1997, he got a job as a software engineer where he further improved on his craft. This job wouldn't last too long though, as in 2003 he knew what he had to do. He later claimed that he was speaking to God himself when composing this. He would begin working on what will later be known as Temple OS. Designed to be the third temple after the second's destruction during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem in 587 BC, Temple OS was quite groundbreaking. Developed from a program language called Holy C, which was single-handedly made by Terry himself over a course of a decade. Holy C was said to be the middle ground between C and C++. He used his own programming language to build Temple OS, which in itself had over 120,000 lines of code.
Now that's fucking cool.
He started making YouTube videos, going over the operating system, and just going over a bunch of random things in his life. He also included claims of him being the greatest programmer to ever live. On top of all of that, he also claimed that Temple OS would allow you to have better connection with God, and even allow you to communicate with the greatest to ever do it.
Jesus Christ.
His genius can just not be understated. Building your own programming language and operating system single-handedly is a task that just shouldn't be possible. Terry Davis was an undeniable genius. Sadly though, even after showing the world how far a single individual can break the barriers of what we believe is possible, life had to do what it does best: and gave Davis a steamy shit sandwich. His YouTube channels were getting terminated constantly for his language. You see, Terry's mental state was going down to depths no one thought possible, causing him to burst out offensive language left and right. He became practically the predecessor of Gypsy Crusader with the things he was saying. And after all this time, he still thought the CIA was after him. What I'm about to say is going to be very, very depressing. On around June 2018, Terry stopped taking his medication, as he thought they were limiting his creativity. He would subsequently become homeless. Fans offered to help him and give him shelter and food, but Terry, being the guy he is, refused help every single time. And on August 11th, 2018, the worst possible outcome happened. While walking across railroad tracks, he was struck and killed by a train in Portland, Oregon. No one knows why he was on the tracks, but based on what we know about his mental health, he probably didn't even see the trains passing through.
Wow, man, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah, man. Terry Davis' life was a constant battle with his mental health. He was a man gifted with so much talent and genius, but tragically covered in a plethora of hardship. Though, even with all his pain, he was still able to show the world that he really was gifted, and was able to make something special. If you look him up, you'll see a lot of clips of him saying terrible things. But please do keep in mind that you are listening to a man who has a multitude of mental health problems. May we remember him for what he brought, and remember that he, even when faced with a terrible hand, you can still do great things.